Welcome to the deep dive. Today we had a request to look into Jammu and Kashmir, often called India's crown jewel, so that's exactly what we're focusing on.
That's right.
We've got quite a range of material here, some historical overviews, some stuff on recent developments.
Yeah, the good
And
mix.
our goal really is to pull out the key insights for you, get a clearer picture of this, well, fascinating region.
Absolutely. We'll try to cover the main aspects, the natural beauty, which is stunning, of course, the really rich culture, its spiritual side, and as our sources show, a pretty complex history.
Okay, so let's jump right into that history then. The material mentions a connection going way back, like to Vedic civilization.
It does, yeah. And what's interesting is that even then, it wasn't just, another place on the map. It was a significant hub.
A hub for what, exactly?
For thinking, for spirituality. It became a really important center for both Shaivism and Buddhism. That ancient influence is still kind of there today.
And the timeline shows, well, quite a few different rulers over the centuries.
Oh, definitely. You had the Mauryas, the Kushans, then the Mughals, the Sikhs, and eventually the Dogri dynasty.
Wow, quite the list. Did each one leave a distinct mark?
Yeah, you could say that. Different ways of governing, new cultural ideas coming in, different religions being supported. It's this layering, that makes the history so rich.
Right. And then the British arrived. It became a princely state.
Exactly. A princely state, meaning it had, well, a certain amount of autonomy, even under the British umbrella.
And that sense of being distinct, that carried over after 1947, didn't it, with Article 370?
It did. That's a really key point. Article 370 gave Jammu and Kashmir significant self-governance, its own constitution in many ways, separate laws on various matters.
But the decades that followed weren't exactly smooth sailing.
No, unfortunately not. The sources point to a lot of conflict. Militancy became a major issue, and persistent political instability. You really need that context to understand what happened later.
Which takes us up to the period after 2014, and especially that major shift in August 2019. Feels like a real watershed moment.
It absolutely was.
Yeah.
August 2019 saw the government abrogate Article 370 and also Article 35A.
So essentially revoking that special status it had held for, what, 70-odd years?
Precisely. And at the same time, the state itself was reorganized. It was split into two union territories, Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh.
Okay. And the government stated reasons, according to our sources.
The main goals mentioned were greater integration with India, pushing for more development, and also trying to curb terrorism in the region.
Right. So what are the key developments highlighted in the material since then, since 2019?
Well, there's a definite emphasis on infrastructure, big projects.
Like?
Specific examples like the Zohila Tunnel, the Chenani Nashri Tunnel. These are massive engineering feats aimed at improving connectivity, especially through difficult mountain terrain.
And the railway expansion, too, towards Kashmir.
Yes, extending the railway network further into the valley. Yeah. Better connectivity, the thinking goes, should help the economy.
Yeah, makes sense. Easier movement of goods, people. The sources also talk about a huge jump in tourism.
They do. Record numbers, apparently, since 2022. Places like Gulmarg, Pahalgam, the classic beauty spots, are seeing massive footfall.
That must be a really important economic piece, right?
Oh, absolutely. Tourism is vital for income, for jobs there. And alongside that, the material mentions improvements in basic services.
Things like electricity, water.
Exactly. Power supply, water access, and also digital connectivity getting better. Things that affect daily life.
And there were new investment policies brought in, too, to attract businesses.
That's right. Trying to encourage more private investment, stimulate the economy that way. Plus, they held panchayat elections.
Local village council elections aimed at strengthening democracy at the grassroots level.
That was the stated goal, yes. Bringing governance closer to the people.
Okay, so those are the developments presented, but our sources also raise concerns, criticisms.
Yes, that's crucial for balance. There were criticisms around things like the communication blackouts that happened right after the changes.
Right, the internet shutdowns and restrictions. How long did those last, and what was the justification given?
They were in place for quite a while, yes. The official reason given was primarily security preventing unrest, stopping misinformation during a very sensitive transition.
But they definitely raised flags about civil liberties, freedom of speech.
Absolutely. Big questions were asked about the reduction in the region's autonomy and the impact on fundamental rights. It's a complex picture.
So you have these concerns on one side, but then the material also notes observations of more peace, economic activity, and gradual normalization.
Exactly. It suggests a situation that's still evolving, with different facets to consider. Not a simple narrative.
Definitely not. Okay, let's shift gears a bit, maybe move away from the politics and look at the culture. It's incredibly diverse, isn't it?
Oh, incredibly so. It's a real mosaic of ethnic groups. You've got Kashmiris, Dogras, Gujars, Ladakhis, Baltis, each with their own distinct background.
And that's reflected in the languages too, I imagine.
Totally. You hear Kashmiri, Dogri, Urdu, Hindi, Ladakhi. It's a very multilingual region.
And religion, what's the breakdown there?
Islam is the predominant religion,
Mm.
followed by significant Hindu communities and also Buddhists, particularly in Ladakh, and Sikhs as well.
How does that religious mix play out in daily life according to the sources? Is it generally harmonious?
Historically, our material suggests quite a lot of syncretism, shared shrines, mutual respect in many areas. But like in many places, it's also been a factor in political tensions at times. Still, it creates a really rich spiritual tapestry.
And one of the best ways to experience that culture, I guess, is through the food.
Ah, yes, definitely. The Kashmiri cuisine sounds amazing. Rogan Josh, Yakni, Dum Aloo.
Modur Pulav, the sweet rice.
Yeah. And then there's Wazwan. The sources describe it as this grand, multi-course feast.
What's the significance of Wazwan? It sounds like more than just dinner.
Oh, it absolutely is. It's a core part of Kashmiri tradition, a real symbol of hospitality. Our sources say it's essential for big celebrations, like weddings. Preparing it is a serious skill passed down through generations.
Wow. And the drinks too, noon chai, the pink tea.
Yes, the salty pink tea and kawa, that fragrant spice green tea, both are staples.
Sounds delicious. And then you have the Dogri food from the Jammu region, kata meat ball.
Right, and the classic comfort food, Rajma Chawal. It shows how distinct the culinary traditions are even within the broader region.
Yeah, shaped by local produce, history. Fascinating. And the festivals must reflect that diversity too.
Absolutely. In Kashmir, you have Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Asha being the major celebrations.
While in Jammu, it's more Lohri, Baisakhi, Navratri.
Exactly. And then Ladakh has the Hemis Festival, a really vibrant Buddhist celebration.
And we can't forget the Tulip Festival in Srinagar. Those pictures are incredible. What does that festival represent?
Well, beyond just being beautiful, our sources suggest it's seen as a symbol of spring, of renewal, and importantly, it's become a big draw for tourism, showcasing a more peaceful side of the region.
Nice. These festivals sound like they really weave the community together. What about traditional arts like dance and music?
Rich traditions there, too. Kashmir has folk dances like Roof, Bachanagma, Hafisa.
And I saw mentions of musical storytelling, Chakri, and Ladisha. How do those work?
Yeah, Chakri is often more of a group thing, with traditional instruments singing about love or social themes. Ladisha apparently is more satirical, often improvised commentary on current events, using wit.
Kind of like musical news commentary.
Sort of, yeah. A way to preserve stories and offer social critique. And they use unique instruments like the santur, the rabab, the noet. Gives the music a very distinct sound.
Sounds incredible. So if someone wanted to experience all this, where should they go? What are the key attractions?
Well, for nature, you're spoiled for choice. Dal Lake, obviously. Gulmarg, Pahalgam, Sunmarg, just breathtaking mountain scenery.
And for spirituality.
Major pilgrimage sites. Vaishno Devi and Amarnath for Hindus, the Hazratbal Shrine in Srinagar for Muslims, the ancient Shankaracharya temple, reflects that religious diversity again.
And history buffs.
They'd love the Mughal gardens, the ruins of the Marten Sun Temple, Leh Palace up in Ladakh. So much history etched into the landscape.
It really seems to have something for everyone.
It does. And if we were to sum up the positives, what the sources call the good and the beautiful, well, you have that undeniable scenic beauty drawing people in.
Right. And it's clearly a hub for arts and crafts. Pashmina carpets are world famous.
Exactly. A deep, rich culture. And encouragingly, the material does mention signs of growing peace and development more recently.
And maybe more opportunities, particularly for young people. Education, jobs.
That seems to be part of the focus, yes. Offering a sense of moving forward.
But we have to acknowledge the other side, too, the challenges that remain.
Absolutely essential. The history of political unrest, terrorism, that has cast a long shadow, leading to instability and disruptions.
Conflicts, curfews affecting daily life.
Yes. And there's that tricky balance mentioned in the sources. How do you push for development without losing the unique cultural identity?
That's a challenge everywhere, I suppose, but maybe especially acute here.
It seems so. And the sources really emphasize the ongoing need for dialogue, for genuine peace-building efforts. That seems key for the future.
So, wrapping up this deep dive on Jammu and Kashmir, we've touched on its ancient history, the really significant changes recently, the incredible cultural diversity.
Yeah, the people, languages, food, festivals, arts.
And also acknowledging those persistent challenges.
Right. The goal was really just to offer a clearer, maybe more nuanced view based on the material we had. It's such a complex place with a long story.
We've really only scratched the surface, haven't we?
Definitely. There's always more to understand.
Okay, so here's a final thought for our listeners to chew on. Thinking about everything we've discussed, the deep history, the recent shifts, the vibrant culture, what do you think the future holds for preserving that unique identity of Jammu and Kashmir as it navigates whatever comes next? Something to ponder.